What it do, man? It's breaking news. I'm just getting this in. So let me break this news to y'all. The judge has ordered the URL to get their attorneys and everything ready because they will be going to trial. The URL will be going to trial if they do not settle this case between Norbes. Norbes is suing the URL for over $40 million. There was 16 accounts written up by Norbes attorneys pertaining to all the things the URL had did unjustly to this brother, who is on record as being one of the ones and founders of building the URL. Now, I'm going to give y'all some background of what took place, what I was given. So there were 16 accounts in all that was written up against the URL from Norbes attorneys. The judge ruled out 11 of those 16 accounts. One of the cases the judge ruled out was partnership. As a result of ruling out the partnership that was dismissed on the URL's behalf, that was the reason why some of the other counts was also dismissed, because of the partnership was dismissed. So the remaining charges that was passed to go forward for trial was fiduciary duties, which basically is like saying Norbes is owed punitive damages going all the way back to like 10 years for all the work he had did that he was not compensated on. That's very, very big in this. It's like the judge gave the URL something, but gave Norbes them something also. Because if you really look at it, the dismissing the partnership, for the most part, this fiduciary duty is almost similar to that anyway. Because that's what Norbes was suing for anyway. The partnership for the punitive damages. You know, his part that he didn't get and receive. So it's like the judge gave it to him anyway, but it's just said in another legal term. Fiduciary duties. Also, the other count that the judge passed to go to trial was promissory estoppel. Promissory estoppel, which means that Norbes was under the impression or given a promise to the company that allowed him to move on that promise, only for him not to receive what was promised. So they allowed that to get passed through the judge. That was count 7. Count 8, well, fiduciary duty was count 4. Promissory estoppel was count 7 that they're allowed to pass through. They also allowed count 8 to be passed through, which is unjust enrichment. Unjust enrichment. Unjust enrichment means that Norbes didn't benefit from the work and things that he was doing, but the URL did. He didn't get any restitution for none of the things he had done over the years in his building and scouting and funding and sponsorship things that was taking place. So the judge allowed that to go through. The judge also allowed count 9 to go through, which was quantum merit. Now, quantum merit means that the URL accepted the work and everything that Norbes was doing over these years, benefit from it and everything, and allowed him to do these things without him getting paid for it. Remember, in Norbes' complaint against the URL, he hadn't even received any tax form, no 1099s at all. He hadn't paid taxes in like 10 years. That's very important moving forward into the case. Very, very important. The judge also allowed count 11 to get passed, which was called right of publicity. The right of publicity, which meaning using anything dealing with Norbes' name, image, brand, or anything. Anytime Norbes may have been on record or on any interviews or any shows where he represented the URL in any type of way whatsoever, or they represented him, he had to be reimbursed for that also. Also, it is being stated and documented that basically the judge is like saying that these brothers and the URL and them, y'all need to get ready and try to settle this. Y'all need to get ready to try to settle this, which I believe they're going to have to do anyway. I don't believe the URL can get over some of these charges. The punitive damages, when you saying that Norbes, remember in the URL complaint, they said that Norbes was a contracted worker. The only thing about saying such thing is that there's no contract. Norbes ain't on contract nowhere. URL have no contract with Norbes, and Norbes don't have one. So how is he a contracted worker if there's no contract? But you are agreeing that he worked and gave you a service all those years, but there's no paperwork on it. So I don't see how they're going to get around that. The punitive damages can hurt them when it's one thing Norbes' lawyer did that was so crucial in this write-up, this complaint. He listed from the time Norbes joined the URL and was partners with them all the way up to him leaving, almost every event they threw, along with all the hired battle rappers that performed on those events. Why was this so crucial? What was crucial about this was that Norbes is establishing that he is responsible for the building of the company by supplying it with the talent needed to throw these events. If they are showing how active a yearly the URL is and throwing these events, generating all this money with the acts and talent that Norbes scouted and brought to the URL that was contracted, that's very, very damaging to them if found guilty found guilty on fiduciary duties and punitive damages. So that's very crucial, very damaging against them if that can be proven. And I think it's a slam dunk case because what happens is y'all on record saying he's a contracted worker without a contract. That's an oxymoron. Either he contracted or he not. How you a contracted worker without a contract? And the contract is not verbally binding. The contract will have to be physically documented binding to be a contracted worker. So the URL in Norbes is set to get ready to go to trial. Now, do y'all believe that this would even go to trial? I don't believe this would go to trial. And I'm going to tell you why I don't believe this would go to trial right after this. But I'm just telling y'all, I'm giving y'all this breaking news. The judge has ruled in Norbes' favor that there's enough to proceed forth and go to trial. And have let it be known that there will be a trial. Although 11 out of the 16 counts was dismissed on the filing of the URL, filed for dismissal, the judge did dismiss 11 out of the 16, but kept 5. 5 are the most easily proven, which also is just the same damaging and financially wise as the ones that they dismissed. So with that being said, it's your boy Battle Truth, and ain't my judgment. That's some question is yours. Hit the link in the description box, subscribe to Battle Truth. It's not my judgment, that's some question. It's yours. Subscribe to Battle Truth.